There's a bigger sensor in the camera there for better low light video, better dynamic range, more than double the built-in storage from the Avata 1. Memory card placement has been greatly improved, both downward and rear sensors, and you can now charge both the drone and the batteries with USB-C. The Goggles 3 now with pass-through video, picture-in-picture. You can wirelessly stream what you're seeing now to your phone, a built-in battery, a forehead rest. So there's a lot of new features, improvements, and some refinements as well. So it doesn't matter if this is your first Avata or you're coming from the Avata 1, you'll benefit from everything here. Now going back to just how easy this is to fly, that is where this new joystick comes into play. You give this to someone and within minutes, no matter their experience level, they will be able to fly. I let a couple of different people try it out. Garrett firstly, whose only experience comes from flying traditional drones like the Mini 3, Mini 4. He's able to move around with speed, confidence, kind of go through spaces and tighter gaps than just flying out in the open field. Again, just proving how simple and easy it is to pick this up and fly it with the joystick.
What was it you just said to me about the trigger?
That's really responsive. You can you feel like you have full control of just being able to come a little bit closer, go faster, slow it down. It's just very for how small it is, it's super responsive.
This is part of what makes this kit fun, is just allowing other people, the masses, to experience FPV. And one of the nice things with the Goggles 3 now is you can wirelessly stream to your phone without the need of a cable. Share live view to mobile device. So what this will now do is allow me to, on the app, it's actually appeared there, so you can see it says Wi-Fi goggles. You can tap that and you can either transfer or you can watch the live view sharing. So we're going to tap on that. Yeah, so there you go. So now you can see what I'm seeing wirelessly. Previously, you needed to use a cable to do that. There is very, very little delay as well between the two. You're able to fly pretty confidently with the joystick without any problems. So you can fly with your abilities confidently, faster, and let someone else experience it in the most immersive way, which is in the goggles. One of the other nice things on the Goggles 3 now is that it has pass-through. So there's two cameras on the front here which let you see the outside world. You can tap on the side twice and have a view of everything else without having to take the goggles off. You can also do a little picture-in-picture, so you're able to still fly the drone and see the outside world as well. Now it is small, so I wouldn't recommend doing it that way, but if you need to quickly check what's going on, you can maybe pause the flight or let go of everything on here and it will just stop in the air and then see what's going on in the world and then jump back in when you're ready. Right on the top here, there is now this forehead rest, which can be angled ever so slightly. So what that does is when you are wearing the goggles, it takes all the pressure off your face and your eyes and it puts it onto your forehead. So it's a lot more comfortable overall to wear. I find the outside here as well, I don't know what this is called, but it's just kind of rubber. This forms a better seal around your face and blocks out the outside light better. The SD card placement is now up top there. Now in terms of the panels inside the lenses there, what your eyes are actually looking at is two 1080p micro OLED screens with 100 Hz refresh rate. You'll also have noticed that on the back here, this bigger part, and this is actually now the integrated battery. Before you had to attach the battery, clip it in and feed it all through here around the actual band, and it just kind of got in the way. Now this is the battery here, so it's all integrated. The cord is inside, it's on this side actually, just inside the band here. You can't see it, it's just part of it. Way better design, and for adjusting the tightness now when it's on your head, you have this dial which says tight and loose there. So you can literally tighten it and loosen it, and as you can see there, it reduces the size of the band, so the band just feeds into here. And when you get it, there's also this extra piece which comes with it. So if your eyelashes are touching anywhere inside here, this increases the distance from your forehead if you needed to use that. You do have full diopter control again on the bottom here. You can slide everything around here, you can lock it in. But the nice new thing is that it displays the diopter setting inside the goggles, so you can physically see the number that you like to use. So if you're giving it to someone else and they're adjusting it and then you're taking it back, you know what to change it to immediately without having to figure it out again. They also give you corrective lenses. Now the field of view, what you physically see from the camera in the goggles when you're flying this, if you've never flown an FPV drone before, is a lot bigger than what you're used to. If you have something like a DJI Mini 4 Pro, that's a 75-degree angle of view, but if you add the wide angle adapter, it makes it 100. This is 155, so it's a lot wider and a lot more immersive if you're flying it. It's the same as the Avata 1 was. The RC Motion 3 has been improved in many ways to essentially make it easier and more immersive to fly if you have little to no experience or you just like flying with this. There's a two-step throttle on here. If you depress it slightly, it feels like there's some pressure there, and then you have to push it in harder to get to the second step of the throttle. Now, the first part of the throttle allows you to move the joystick around and angle the drone essentially. So if you're facing the wrong direction, you want to change the angle, you can just press that slightly and then change the angle of it and get it how you want it to be. And then the full press when you're moving this around allows you to control your altitude and your speed moving forwards. Much like the Avata 1, you have head tracking. So if you want to just fly the drone with the RC Motion 3 with the joystick, the camera is fixed in the one direction that you're flying. But if you turn head tracking on, you're able to fly the drone and angle the camera as well. So this allows you to mimic more traditional manual style FPV movements where you would be moving both joysticks at the same time. Think of the joystick as one of the sticks and then your head movement, head tracking being the other stick. Something completely new that you're able to do with this is easy acro mode. This allows you to do complex movements that essentially you would have to otherwise use a controller with both sticks for. You have slide, you have 180-degree drift, and you have flip. To enable this, you turn on in the goggles, and then this dial on the side here allows you to select which one you want to use. Then you just hit this in a direction and allow it to do its thing. It allows someone with zero experience to do side flips, front flips, back flips, and it stays literally at the altitude that it was at when you started it. So if you were to do flip, for example, if you were to go left, it would flip this left, or right, it would go right, backwards, it'll do a back flip, forwards, it'll do a forward flip. The 180 drift is also pretty interesting as well, because you can be flying forwards and then hit a direction and it will literally spin the drone around. It'll go forwards and then it will drift it around, and then it will continue going backwards for a bit, and you can let go of the trigger and then go forwards again. It's pretty fun to fly, actually. I can imagine as someone that has no experience, getting to experience flips and the 180-degree drift really makes them feel like they are flying manually. I was interested as well to see how low you could get in terms of doing the flips, because when you start flying manually, you obviously need a lot of height to make sure that you're not going to drop down to the ground really quickly and destroy the drone, but you can get pretty low when still doing flips as well. Camera improvements are obviously always welcome. This has a bigger sensor. It's a 1/1.3 sensor now compared to the Avata 1, which is a 1/1.7. Now what that means for you is it's going to be better in low light. So if you're flying at sunset or early in the morning when it is a little bit darker in some areas, this is going to be better for that. Bigger sensor means it can get more light onto the sensor, which means a better image for you. The dynamic range has been improved versus the Avata 1. What that means is if you're in a situation where it's contrasty, there's a lot of brights, but also a lot of darks, it didn't really handle that well before. This has now been improved. You got to make sure that you are shooting the 10-bit D-Log-M log mode with this too. This has the DJI O4 air unit in it, which comes with better range, 13-kilometer range now in the most ideal situation versus the previous 10 on the Avata 1. Also gets you a better data rate at 60 megabits per second compared to the 50 in the Avata 1. Up top here, the SD card and USB-C port has been completely relocated into a way better spot. Previously, it was tucked in behind one of the propellers here. It was not easy to get to, and getting that card out always meant it flicked across the room every time. Way better placement now. That's even if you want to use an SD card, because it does have 46 gigs of built-in storage now compared to the original 20. So if you do forget a memory card or forget to put one in it, which has happened to me many times, then you don't have to worry, because you can still record internally. That does mean you need to plug that cable in now to download the footage, but because of the placement being there now, it's way easier, it's way better. Now in terms of video that you can record internally, 4K 60, you're going to be looking at, I don't want to get this wrong, 40 minutes. Or if you want to use 1080p 60, you're looking at 90 minutes. You can also charge this and the batteries now with USB-C, as long as it's power delivery. Now this is the new battery hub from DJI, which stores 3 batteries. Pull out, same way you pull it out of the actual Avata 2 itself. Same as before, if you tap on the battery, it shows you the battery level. You can also charge this with power delivery, and if you tap the button on the side there, it shows you the battery levels of all of the batteries, which is a nice touch. This will also charge batteries quicker than if you have it plugged in directly and charging just one battery inside the drone, which you can do like that. So if you want to charge a battery inside there, it's going to take about 88 minutes. But if you do that same battery in the hub and charge it, to do one battery will be 45 minutes. The other thing it has is power accumulation, which if you push and hold the button here, I can't demo it because my batteries are all fully charged, but let's say you have like 5 minutes left on this battery, 2 minutes on this one, and 10 minutes left on this one. It will recognize that this battery has the most power left on it, and it will take the battery power from these two, everything, to charge this one up as much as it can. So you're left with one battery that you can fly for longer compared to like 3 separate flights we'd have to change the batteries out. In terms of actual battery life, out of one of these, when it's plugged into the Avata 2, 23 minutes if you're using the RC Motion 3. That's the maximum flight time that you're getting. If you want to use the regular FPV remote, you can get 3 minutes at full power. If you go in full send in manual mode, you'll get 3 minutes. This is also quieter, quite substantially. The original Avata 1 was loud. You can hear it coming. They're probably quite proud of this because they've written it right on the side. Just there, 81 dB decibels. You have the downward and the rear sensors on there as well now. This is also 30 grams lighter now than the original. That's the takeoff weight. And the motors are on the bottom now. Before, the motor was on the top with the propeller underneath it. It's been reversed. This is clearly more aerodynamic than the Avata 1. The design has been completely changed. The Avata 1 had a big lump here. I'll put a picture on the screen for you to see. In terms of if you want to fly in manual mode, compared to the Avata 1, which is a great way to get into FPV when you want to go into manual mode, turn off all the assists and you're fully doing it yourself. This does feel like it flies better. It feels like it has more power pulling out of dives, which overall makes you just feel a bit more confident to do things, to get closer to the ground. You see that motion blur of the ground because you're closer to it and you know you can pull out of a dive later. Like, it feels better to fly in full manual mode if you get ready to the point where you want to step up to that. Now, I'm not going to compare this to a regular FPV drone. I don't think you really can easily, because this isn't aimed at the people that are flying those. This is a self-contained system that you can buy. You can sync up very easily by just hitting the power button. Everything joins up, everything works, and you can fly it with fail-safes if you wanted to. And as you progress, you can move into the manual mode if you want to, but you don't have to. If you want to fly with the joystick the whole time and still get good looking footage, you can do that. You don't have to learn all the other aspects of FPV, like batteries and voltages and watching the batteries the whole time, and when the battery voltage drops down you need to land. You don't have to deal with that. It tells you when you need to land. You can share the experience with others, which you definitely can't do with a regular FPV drone. You can't just hand the controller to them because they will immediately crash it. There's something for everyone here, and that's really what it's about. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.